everybody. Welcome to Miami, Florida. I'm Jim Hendrick, along with Dick Crippen, and this is the Budweiser Regatta, stop number 2 of the HFC American Hydroplane Racing Series. Dick Crippen, this is the first time on this small course, a mile and 2/3, these boats will race in salt water.
That's right. In Houston, Texas, a couple of weeks ago, the first race of the season, it was kind of a mixture, if you will, brackish water. There was a salt content in it, but it wasn't enough to really affect the turbine engines. They ran rather well. As a matter of fact, Budweiser took the win in that particular race. But now coming in here, we have a high salt content, and that has always been a problem for the turbine engines. With that in mind, Budweiser has come up with a brand new system they say is going to work on their boat, and the Circus swears they've got something in store for their boat that will eliminate the salt there also. The winner of the race last year was George Woods Jr. aboard Oh Boy Oberto. That is a piston-powered boat, if you will, and those boats have traditionally done well on this smaller course because they can navigate a little bit better, too. So it's going to be a wide-open race, and at this point, if everything works as far as the ideas of keeping the salt out of the turbines, it could be anybody's race.
Jim Kropfeld, who won the Houston race and is the top qualifier so far this week in this race number 2, last year broke a vertebrae in his neck and was out for the season on this very same race course. It doesn't seem to bother him. He's running well.
That's right, and I think we ought to bear in mind too that accident happened in the number 1 turn down here, and that's a very dangerous turn because it's landlocked here at Miami, and that means they have to go in very, very tight. You put 5 of these boats side by side out there, something's got to give somewhere, and they better be careful going in.
Now let's check the pit area. Let's go down to Mark Spencer. Mark?
Throughout the afternoon, we're going to hear a lot of conversation about the speed of the turbines versus the reliability of the piston engines and all of the problems that the salt water will create. But one very important ingredient you can't overlook here at Miami is lane choice at the start. This is perhaps the most demanding race course on the circuit. Only 5 boats will qualify for the final. The drivers spent a lot of time in qualifying yesterday practicing their starts. Everybody wants that coveted inside position. It's going to be interesting to watch the drivers jockey before the race even starts. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much. We'll be back with all the exciting action from the Marine Stadium in Miami, Florida after this timeout.
Welcome back to Miami, Florida, in the Marine Stadium, where we're ready for Thunderbolt racing this afternoon. Great day for racing, 87 degrees, 90% humidity, winds southeast at 10, mostly sunny skies. So everybody's settling back, ready for a good day of racing. The opening ceremonies hosted by the host of the regatta, Bernie Little, out of Lakeland, Florida. This is his turbine boat carrying the flag around past the crowd in the stadium, on the beaches, and of course in the spectator fleet. A flyby by a P-51, and kind of appropriate because that same type of engine is used in some of the piston boats that we'll be seeing out here a little bit later today. Good crowd on hand, somewhere around 40,000 fans by the time you add in all of those on the beaches and the water. Here's the qualifying, Miss Budweiser, Mr. Pringles, and Circus as they all hit above 130 miles an hour. The Winston Eagle, Oh Boy Oberto, and HOLSET Miss Madison, all above 110. There's the rest of the field. Cooper's Express, Dollhouse, Bus, Marine, Sports. Mark Spencer has gone down to talk with a gentleman who's had his problems in the first 2 races.
Jerry, 13 minutes to go for qualifying. You're not in the program yet. What's the strategy?
Well, the Miss Expert Automotive Mac Tools entry is having some problems this week. I don't know. We've tried 3 different engines and different carburetors, and every time it starts to get up on a plane, it backfires through the carb, and we can't get the thing really rolling. I don't know if we got some salt water in some electrical shorting stuff out or what. We've cleaned everything and checked it, and we're just having a real tough time here today.
5 boats will answer the call for Heat 1A. George Woods Jr., defending champion, and Oh Boy Oberto, Jim Harvey's boat. Cooper Express, driven by Mitch Evans, owned by Ed Cooper Sr. and Jr. Boss Marine, Ron Snyder, Brian Kehoe's new automotive-powered entry. Chip Hanauer to drive the Circus turbine, Mel Larson on hand, the owner rep. And rounding out the field, Scott Pierce, driving Mr. Pringle's, owned by Bill Wooster.
And as we look now at the beautiful waters here surrounding the Miami Marine Stadium, Jim has a special feature on one of the boats that's entered in the field.
Let's take a close look now at Cooper's Express, a father and son racing team in Unlimited, starting with, of course, Ed Cooper Sr. You've been around many, many years in Unlimited hydroplane racing, Ed.
Well, it's been a few good years anyway. Right, but I love it.
A couple of teams, though, eh?
Yes, 2 or 3 teams, right.
And name them.
Well, I was on the Miss Madison for a long, long time, and I worked on the Gypsy for a while, and the Gypsy was sponsored by 2 or 3 other guys who worked on that for a while, and then we have this one.
Of course, Ed Cooper Jr., although his dad's from Madison, he resides mainly in Evansville, so you're up and down that Ohio River representing the southern part of the state of Indiana.
That's correct. We have an engine shop in Madison, and we also have a boat shop in Evansville where I live, so we're kind of both ends of Indiana on the Ohio.
Allison turbocharged, fuel-injected engine, but it can't keep up with the turbines. There has to be some future turbine in your camp.
Well, that would be the hope that we'd like to achieve, is show people we set a world record last year with our Allison-powered boat, 4 Allison-powered, and we'd like sponsors to see how well we can do with the limited equipment and budget we have, in hopes that we could get a big sponsor and build a turbine boat.
The driver, Mitch Evans, designed and built this boat in 1988. The crew, volunteers all: Gary Turner, a 15-year veteran; Rick Bowles, a 10-year veteran. Mike Hall, Dennis, and Daniel Wright round out the crew. Technical advisors, longtime unlimited campaigners Bill Cantrell and Graham Heath.
Name of the boat again is Cooper's Express. You're about to see that boat compete out here with the rest of the field in Heat 1A. Lane number 1 right now coming around the turn, Mr. Pringle's. Lane 2, Circus Circus. Lane 3, Cooper's Express. Lane 4, Oh Boy Oberto. Boss Marine did not take the start. Here they come down. The flag is away, and we're off and running in Heat 1A. Watch Circus Circus gets a little bit high as they come down in lane number 2 into the turn. It's going to be Mr. Pringle's on the inside. Oh Boy Oberto on the far outside. Coming around the turn, we go high above the course. Watch the chalk marks that are formed by the rooster tails. Oh Boy Oberto trying to close down there. Circus Circus evens up and takes the lead away from Scott Pierce in the Mr. Pringle's.
Good acceleration shown by the Circus Circus off of corner number 2 down the back chute of this saltwater 1 2/3 course. And look at Scott Pierce, stays in lane number 1, stays on the inside, makes the turn tight, clipped the buoy, I think.
It sure looked like that, Jim. He came around that turn very tight, and Circus Circus starts getting airborne. It is a battle royal between these two boats on the front straight. On the outside, lane number 2, it is Circus Circus, but in lane number 3, still hanging in there, George Woods in the piston-powered Oh Boy Oberto, 119.380 miles per hour for the lead boat, which was Scott Pierce when they crossed the line at the end of the first lap. Chip Hanauer doing a beautiful job holding in there. He wants to break that Miami jinx. He has never had good fortune in Miami.
I don't think he's ever won a heat here, period.
Chip Hanauer now looking to take a checkered flag if he can on the Miami Marine Stadium course. It would be a great boost. Look at the power of the Oh Boy Oberto as it churns up this Marine Stadium course. George Woods Jr. holding in the 3rd place, but he is just off the leaders. The boat airborne across the top of the water, but you can feel the power coming off the propeller on the back end of the boat. Half the prop in the water, half of it out, throwing that rooster tail high into the air. This is a beautiful shot of Scott Pierce in the Mr. Pringle's boat. It is now riding in 2nd place in very, very clean water.
He gave a battle there for the first couple of laps. Uh-oh, we got a problem here. Cooper's Express driver Mitch Evans. The canopy's up. That means they're through. They'll get a did not finish DNF if he can keep score. Now the Mr. Pringle's is slowed way down. He's dropped back to 3rd place. Oh Boy Oberto, George Woods has taken over 2nd behind this boat, the leader, Circus Circus.
Jim, last time around I heard some compression stall off the Mr. Pringle's, and as this turbine boat, the Circus Circus, comes around looking for the checkered flag, Scott Pierce is apparently fighting salt in the engine. Chip Hanauer, who has had nothing but bad luck in Miami, finally takes a heat win coming down. There's the checkered flag out. Chip Hanauer in the Circus Circus takes 1st place, and you can see right in the background when we get the shot as he comes around the turn, there is the Mr. Pringle's faltering on the course right now. A lot of compression stalls. Here's 2nd place, George Woods in the Oh Boy Oberto.
Well, George Woods, of course, won this event last year because the turbines were plagued by salt water. We'll have to see if that holds true today. Listen to the compression stalls.
Oh, you can hear it as he goes by. No question. Circus Circus, the winner. Oh Boy Oberto 2nd, Mr. Pringle's 3rd, followed by Cooper's Express and Boss Marine, who did not finish and did not start, respectively.
Chip, an omen of things to come?
Well, I don't know. You just take them one heat at a time. It's going to be a long day.
Looked like the boat was having little handling problems going down the straightaways. Wanted to get a little loose on you.
Yeah, we both were. I was watching Scott Pierce, and he was getting fairly loose himself. So it's windy. We're running right into a headwind going into the 1st corner, and that's the worst possible conditions you want on a race course.
Any predictions?
No, never any predictions. This isn't our race course. We just want to keep running all day long and see where we are at the end of the day.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Heat 1B coming up, and we'll be back at Miami's Marine Stadium with more action after this timeout.
There's the salt water we have talked about here in Miami so many times and the effect it's had on the turbines. Well, Mark Spencer is going to talk about that right now on the Zenith Performance Corner, brought to you by Zenith Data Systems. Zenith innovates again.
Salt. Your doctor will tell you it'll cause all kinds of health problems for you. And here in the saltwater conditions of Miami Marine Stadium, it also poses a serious health problem for these giant turbine engines. Danny, what kind of problems does the salt create for the turbines?
Well, basically, the salt gets inside the engine compressor, changes the fan blade shape, causing the air to reverse flow inside the engine or backfire. That's a compressor stall that you hear when the boats are running on the race course.
Ron, what have you done to solve the problems with the salt water?
Well, Mark, we've tried some other combinations in years past, and I think now we've got a little bit better handle on the situation. And what we've done is decided to keep the salt and water directly out of the engine. And to do that, we've installed an air filter, air cleaner arrangement, along with we've got a rear-facing inlet now instead of the forward-facing inlet, and we're making the water and air travel back forward and drop down on top of the filter. So it's been working quite well. And the third thing we do is we run our engines on a test cell and have set the engines up totally strictly just for saltwater conditions.
Now let's check the combatants for Heat 1B. The U-146 Dollhouse, driven by Steve David. Bob Findler is the owner. The HOLSET Miss Madison, owned by the town of Madison, Indiana. Miss Budweiser, owner Bernie Little, driver Jim Kropfeld. And rounding out the field, the turbine Winston Eagle. Steve Woomer's boat, driven by Larry Lauterbach.
And we go upstairs to get an aerial view from the helicopter of the start of this race. In lane number 1, it's the HOLSET Miss Madison. Lane 2, the Miss Budweiser. Lane 3, Dollhouse. U-10 Winston Eagle, you saw that boat heading off the course. There it goes, way in the back of the pack, heading back toward the pit area. Larry Lauterbach has some problems. Lead off on the start of the race, the Miss Budweiser, Jim Kropfeld, returning to this Miami Marine Stadium course for the first time since his accident, which happened right there last year, just about 1 year ago, a near tragic accident when he broke a vertebrae in the back of his neck, and it sidelined him for the entire season.
Oh, he nailed that start right on the money. He had a good 10-boat length lead going into corner number 1, and he's all by himself down the back chute on this mile and 2/3 saltwater course.
And talking about that salt water, everybody's anxious to see if some of these innovations, you can see how they've reversed the air scoop now. Mark talked about that in his piece just a few moments ago. And of course, that big screen filter that they have over the engine. Will that in fact keep the salt out of the turbine engine? Well, right now it's running beautifully. This one has no problem with salt at all. HOLSET Miss Madison, Mike Hanson. As Jim told you, this is owned by the town of Madison, Indiana. They have not even seen the boat race this year, not in competition anyway, because it debuted on the circuit after the Madison race last year. Jimmy Kropfeld taking it easy, 107.684 miles per hour, his average lap speed on lap number 1.
That's really taking it easy. He got that big start right there and dove in all by himself in corner number 1, looked back over his shoulder, saw that the Winston Eagle had returned to the pits, which was his turbine competition. Now he's going for an easy day's ride.
And I don't think anybody can blame him for that either. After that accident of last year, he's got to have a couple of pangs of memory as he goes around this course, but he certainly is getting over them in fine style because he's got the boat riding beautifully, and I don't think there'll be any complaint at all. But meanwhile, it gives him a chance to find out what the boat will be able to do in different water conditions. Second place, HOLSET Miss Madison. Mike Hanson just kind of cruising it around there now, and we're seeing a good bit of spray come up, and it looks like a little bit of a hook on the Dollhouse. He goes around. He's got to turn it around. Apparently, he may have missed a buoy out there. He's heading back around on the course to pick up the buoys again. You must do that. You can see, oh, look at that shot. You can see exactly where he went. And you can see the Miss Budweiser as she's coming up behind him now, crossing over the wake of that boat, getting the clean water on the inside. Stephen David has moved over to the outside to let the faster boat through.
Now as we take a look from our chopper, it's the Miss Budweiser, first place, HOLSET Miss Madison in second. Third is the Dollhouse, the Winston Eagle, having problems just prior to the start, returned to the pits and did not start.
Jimmy Kropfeld powering the Miss Budweiser around the final turns here at the Miami Marine Stadium, goes past the spectator fleet. He's got a great ride going right now, a good time to concentrate on what he can do. Here's second place, HOLSET Miss Madison on the backstretch now, passing the Marine Stadium band shell and going down along the beach area. A lot of the fans are in amongst those trees there, enjoying a little picnic this Sunday afternoon, and I think Mike Hanson is enjoying his ride. They're giving them a spectacular view of some good close-up Thunderbolt activity.
Mike Hanson in the HOLSET Miss Madison coming at our camera, starts to pick up speed off of corner number 4 to come down to complete a lap. Good shot of that boat, a brand new boat last year, as Dick told you. The HOLSET Miss Madison will race in their town, Madison, Indiana, later this summer.
And here's a moment that Jim Kropfeld has probably thought about an awful lot over the past season as he sat on the sidelines because of that accident right here in Miami. The checkered flag flying for him as he conquers the Miami Marine Stadium course, comes back from that accident. He takes the checkered flag for the win. Here's the finish. Miss Budweiser first, followed by Miss Madison. Dollhouse did not finish. Winston Eagle did not start. Let's go down to the pit area now. Jim is with the winning driver.
Not too bad, but it looks like you were kind of tooling around on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, I understand that Winston had some problems getting started out there, and I guess he hit the old saltwater woes here in Miami, but Budweiser ran flawlessly, and of course everybody knows we tested about 8,000 laps this week, but you know, Bernie and the crew and everybody's been working real hard on this saltwater problem, and I think right now maybe we have it solved.
Bernie, kind of orders from the doc to say, hey, slow down, you got a big lead?
Well, yeah, we were talking like that, and but you can't win them all if you don't win them the first one. So
400 points at 90-mile-an-hour average or 150-mile-an-hour average makes no difference.
It makes no difference at all. At the end of the year, it's the final. That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Jim.
Well, a lot of happiness for the Miss Budweiser crew with that heat win. The Winston Eagle camp, there's some questions to be answered. Mark Spencer's over there.
Steve, lots of problems, not very many answers right now.
Yeah, the Winston Eagle's not soaring at the moment. The salt water is really a problem for us. It's been a problem just about every time we've ran here. One of the things is that we have a little narrower sponsons than the other boats out here, the other turbine boats, which we feel is an immense help when it comes to the longer straightaway courses. Keeps it from flying so much. It should give us more top-end speed, but being narrower, they also spray off a lot more water at lower speeds, and we can't keep the water out of the engine. Only takes about a cup full of salt water to ruin one of these motors, and I think we're getting about a half a gallon right now.
A good crowd here on Key Biscayne to see this Budweiser Unlimited Regatta, part of the HFC American Hydroplane Series. We'll be back to Marine Stadium with more action in just a moment.